Thought I'd do a review for you on the Vodafone 845, which is out at a really good price on Vodafone at the moment here in New Zealand. And I'll do it from an iPhone user's perspective because a lot of iPhone users, of course, really happy with their devices, and I agree, I'm a very happy iPhone user. But there's a lot of talk about Android, and it does some really nifty things. So at that price, I thought the entry level was pretty good. Didn't know much about Android, I've got to say. I did buy one of these fantastic little Econ devices a wee while ago and thought, yeah, not great. It's 1.6 Android, but a really slow processor and horrid resistive touch screen as well. So when you look at the iPhone, of course, as I say, happy iPhone user, and I've got a bunch of applications that I've downloaded from the market, some paid and some free from there as well, but it's great doing my emails, and the browser's brilliant, the keyboard's really good. So when we take a look at the Vodafone 845, it's a completely different league. Your iPhone, you're looking at well over $1,000 New Zealand. This little puppy here sets you back $175 to $199 depending on where you buy it from, and at that price, I've got to say it's a bit of a bargain. It's list price at $399. I think that's not worth it. I think there's much better devices out there for $399. There's a lovely little device on 2 degrees with a capacitive screen which you can get for $379. So at $175 though, definitely worth a bit of a look. So I thought I'd take you through it and what we've done with it since I got it. So I got it about a week ago, had stock standard ROM from Vodafone on there, and when you get a Vodafone phone, it's customized and really not the experience that I was looking for anyway. So I've downloaded what they call the Teapot ROM from XDA, and it works really well. This is, of course, Android 2.1, so it's not the latest, but it's pretty good. If we take a look at what we can do here on this front screen, we can turn the sound on and off. So you've got the button on the side of your iPhone, of course, but it doesn't have one on here. You can do it through the screen on the front. Then, of course, you can do the unlock, which is very similar to what the iPhone does. You'll see there that I've got the live wallpapers turned on. This device isn't great at 600 megahertz, but it seems to run the live wallpaper pretty well. So, of course, with the live wallpapers here, you can touch it, and it does all sorts of sparkly little things, which is quite nice. On this front screen, this is with the Teapot ROM. It's got MMS messaging, email, it's got the market, maps, browser, contacts, and the dialer as well. And you've also got these little soft buttons down here which replicate a lot of it, and that one there, of course, is for the menu, if you like. One of the things that this phone does is that it has a little optical navigation key down there as well. It was quite cool on the original ROM because it went between the different Android screens. You can scroll between the different screens. This one doesn't work quite so well. It scrolls between the different applications, which is fine. It still works. It's just not quite as handy as I think what it was. So what does this give you? It's got the 2.8 QVGA touch screen, 3.2 megapixel camera on the back. It's a resistive touch screen, and you'll see what that means in a minute. Certainly not as nice as your iPhone, that's for sure. Wi-Fi though, it's got HSDPA, it's got GPS, and a whole lot of other great features as well. So for the price, at $175, I've got to say I'm pretty impressed with this little puppy. One of the things that's going to annoy you is the keyboard, and let's take a look at that. If you want to do a Google search, it's got the search function there, and you'll see that the keyboard on the Teapot ROM is actually a lot better than what you'll find in the original ROM. It's white in colour, which makes it much easier to see, and I don't know, I think the keys are just slightly bigger and certainly better anyway. What I really have problems with is my thumb, using it with my thumb. If I use my finger, it's fine, but I miss the A quite often, and the Q, you'll see I've picked it up there. I spent a lot of time doing the calibration of the screen because it just annoyed me so much that I kept hitting that S instead of the A and the W instead of the Q. So we're now pretty good, and of course another great feature that you've got here is that you can actually use the search function here in terms of the voice search, which works quite well. If we push the button here, pizza, so we've got pizza coming up now. It's doing a bit of search. This is going through the HSDPA on Vodafone, and there you go, and it searched up pizza and found the responses. So, for a device that's $175, you've got to say that's pretty nifty. Markets there as well, and one of the great features when you've put the Teapot ROM on here is that it finds a whole lot of applications that it couldn't find before. That's because it basically tells the phone that it's got a bigger screen size than what it really has. One of the things that I couldn't find on here, and one of the things that I do with particularly the Android devices, is download Solitaire. But that didn't work on the QVGA screen. So now with the new ROM installed, you can certainly download that. A lot of people talking about Angry Birds as well, and will it work on this phone? Yes, it does. It requires you to do a little bit of a shifty to try and get it to work, but it certainly does work, and you'll see that I've downloaded it there, and it's installed on the machine. You can also, with the ROM here, the new ROM, you can shift those applications to the SD card, which usually you can't do on 2.1, but with this ROM you certainly can. Email works really well. 2.1, I didn't want to go for a 1.6 phone. A lot of the telecom phones in particular have got Android 1.6 or even 1.5. Doesn't have any exchange support built in, whereas 2.1, 2.2 and beyond does. So we've got exchange support there now, and it's got push email, and that works perfectly fine. We can go in there, and my son's been on 39 Clues, and there's the email there straight from the exchange server, and it picks up the emails relatively quickly. I think the iPhone certainly picked them up a bit faster, but that could be due to the network rather than any other sort of function. So you can add all sorts of things to these screens. You'll see that I've put a few widgets on there. This is the weather widget. It's the HTC looking weather widget, and it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that. And you can move it, of course, to whichever screen. There's the Facebook one, which live updates as well. And you can add any of the programs that you've downloaded too. So you can hit the menu button and see all the programs that are currently installed and downloaded. The YouTube implementation on this phone is pretty good. You really can't complain about it. There it's rendered, what's there in terms of the most discussed and most viewed. If we hit that one there, remember this is picking it up just via HSDPA, automatically changes the size, and it's started pretty quickly. Oh yeah, thanks for that. All right, so we'll turn that off, and as I say, it's pretty good, and I've certainly not had it stopping or doing anything weird or out of sync. It's very, very good. 600 megahertz processor, as I say, and with this particular ROM, you can overclock it as well. So it's rooted. You've got super user permissions there, which means that I downloaded this little program here, the Wi-Fi tether. You usually don't get that until 2.2 Android, but with that little program, you can use this to Wi-Fi tether, say, your laptop or whatever, to the phone. It essentially turns it into a Wi-Fi hotspot, which is great. Facebook came with this ROM. There was an update that came down, so I updated that. That's all fine. This has got an FM radio built into it as well, and remember, you don't get that on your iPhone. You can change the home screen. I'm using Launcher Pro, which has some limitations unless you buy it, but I've found it pretty good. You've got Google Maps, of course, and with GPS built in, fantastic. And I downloaded a little program here called Runkeeper. I've had that on my iPhone for tracking my running and cycling. Brilliant little program, and it's great to see it on Android as well. It'll only work on Android 2.1 and 2.2 and above. So again, with those 1.6 devices, we're lacking in that area. So I think it's great. A lot of the things that you'll try and do with this phone, you'll use the keyboard for, and I guess that's one of the things that does still annoy me a little bit with the keyboard, is just that it's so small. You look at the key size, and you can't tell from the video, but it's significantly smaller than the iPhone keyboard, and nowhere near as nice to use. However, you've got to put that into perspective. It is a resistive touchscreen, and it's a device that is essentially a tenth of the price of what your iPhone is, but it does a hell of a lot for that price.